like the media industry, especially for sports, is changing constantly. The big players get pushed around a little bit. I mean, like, how do you guys deal with that? There's Upstart, there's Barstool, there's ESPN. I mean, there's just like competition everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not competitive that way, so that's not where regret or doubt would seep in. It's on the hardest days when I feel like managing of people is hard, and I never envisioned myself as any kind of manager of people. I've always been responsible. It's just self-sufficiency. Me, the microphone, do what it is that you do. You don't have to, like, it'll take care of itself. Your worry of others, the economy around this fun thing will take care of itself. But I had reached a point at ESPN where I couldn't keep eating silence when I'm freedom first, voice first, and I'm too much about I've got to be able to speak freely. And so the muzzling was a different kind of unfulfilling. It was too much of a sacrifice of principles that I couldn't abide. I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I was living in a space where I had to sell out. That obviously, like, sell out in a way that I couldn't come up with a rationalization when I was looking in the mirror for what my family's about. And so I had to do it. And then it came with, when the discomfort arrived, what it felt like was just unsafe. Because it's not regret, but it's just like, oh my God, I could have been cashing checks, talking into a microphone for millions of dollars if I had just kept my head down, but not been able to live with myself.
Yeah. Do you think the ESPN brass regrets trying to muzzle people? It's so much more interesting when you don't muzzle people, no?
At Disney? That was a question. I just don't think that they want the headline. Why would they want the headlines around a sports program of sports host goes after Trump? Like, what do they need that for? It's a little bit easier to just hire Pat McAfee, give him $17 million a year, and he's probably not going to do that.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like there's some really interesting people like saying their thing, you know, like the whole stick to sports, shut up and dribble, LeBron, get out of politics. Like, I don't know that worked too well for his critics.
You tell me what value people in sports have for all of this stuff, because I've found that it's safer and more rewarding generally to just stick to sports. You won't lose sponsors. Like, I'm not saying that that's what anybody should do, but if you just stick to sports, you're not going to, man, I don't want to be trusting Bud Light from my moral compass. Like, I don't want to have to worry about what they're dealing with in their meetings so that I can say this or not say that. Like, how much politics do you see with your sports?
You know, it's hit or miss. You're right. Listen, obviously, just from a purely financial standpoint, you can probably identify a few topics that if you never touch, no one will criticize you. I do think there are people that get involved in politics and sports, like the Rooney family, that I think have done really well by themselves by seeing as sort of like principled leaders in a couple of different areas. But, you know, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's certainly more complicated.
And the Rooneys are foremost leaders on racial matters. This is the funny part about what it is that you're saying. I don't even think that I talk politics. What I've been talking about for many, many years has been race, and it gets hijacked. It gets turned into politics when all I feel like I'm doing, and I'm now viewed, I'm called libtard and woke. The Cuban community will call me gusano, worm, for being a traitor against the politics of my region here in South Florida. But all I think I've ever advocated for, which is now somehow a controversial position, is how about equality and decency for all? Like, that's why I'm politically, I mean, I'm guessing many people who are on the other side of this are saying, no, you're an asshole, you're obnoxious, you're strident, and you're way, way left wing. But I believe I'm only somebody who says, can we be decent to everybody? I don't even care about politics.
Yeah. Well, and what you're saying is essentially what a lot of athletes were saying who are silenced or shut down or told to stop kneeling, which is they were more specifically saying, hey, we want to prevent police brutality against black people. And that was twisted as sort of a political statement, and people were told they were being woke or to stick to sports or whatever it might be, when really it was just about equal treatment of everybody.
I'm so disappointed, though, Tommy, that works. somehow.
I know.
Like one of the things I was always saying to myself, I think I said it publicly. I know I was saying it to myself privately. If you're a corporation that has as much money as X, whomever it is, if you have FU money, why would you never say FU? Why would you never choose a side and say FU? Because you got to make more FU money to never say FU?